Well, I didn't think I'd be back with another analysis so soon, but you all overwhelmingly wanted it to happen, so I will gladly make one. I'll start off by saying that the Direct was incredible. Not only did we get some insane Xenoblade 3 info, we also got our first Pikmin 4 trailer, Metroid Prime Remastered, and Baten Kaitos 1 and 2 Remastered. For those unaware, Baten Kaitos is a series that Monolith Soft worked on at the same time as Xenosaga. The fact that it's getting a treatment like this is huge. Obviously, I'm the most excited about the Xenoblade 3 stuff, but what about you guys? Before we talk about the DLC, I just want to ask that if you guys enjoy the content on the channel, please drop a sub and a like on this video. My analytics are telling me that only about 8% of my recent viewers have been subscribed to me, so if you could do that, I would be eternally grateful. I want to thank all of you for supporting the channel. This past year was awesome, and I hope this one continues to be. I have a number of things coming soon, so join me and everyone else here in learning about all things Xeno. With that, let's see what we can figure out. To start out, here are a few quick observations on Wave 3. Since you're only playing as one party member and you won't be able to use Ouroboros, instead it seems like we have a new command to replace it. Masha is a new hero class, and based on the cutscene we saw, it seems like she originates from the city, although based on her appearance, it's possible that that isn't true. A few people have pointed out that a few of the throwback outfits, Nia's in particular, have been censored or changed slightly. Alright, now it's time for Wave 4. Since the teaser is so short, I'll just play it for you now.
Tell me why! Is this really what you want? Nothing's gonna get through to him! He's a heartless machine! Like killing Granddad wasn't enough for you? Volume 3 of this.
The song that plays here is called Those Who Know Fear. The teaser starts out with this shot of Alvis floating in the air. He has wings that are extremely reminiscent of Zanza's, but they're a little bit different. They actually remind me quite a bit of how Shulk's true Monado looks. Specifically, how the ends of the wings have this sort of threaded look. Speaking of the Monado, Alvis is holding Zanza's original Monado, which is a little surprising, but I guess he just likes how that one looks the most. Next we hear Shulk saying, "Tell me why, is this really what you want?" This line suggests to us that Alvis is going to be in an antagonistic role in this expansion. Shulk does not understand why Alvis is doing, well, whatever he's doing, which doesn't look to be too good. At the end of Xenoblade 1, Alvis says that he can see all life in the new world walk towards the future hand in hand. It was uplifting and inspirational, but it would seem that he's maybe changed his mind, or maybe his idea of a bright future was a little different from ours. Either way, when the camera pans up to show Shulk, we can see him wielding the Monado Rex Plus in an outfit identical to the statue of the House Reed mentor. We now have official confirmation they are one and the same. This means that in this new story, Shulk will unfortunately be losing his right arm, similar to how Dunban lost the use of his. I'll talk more about the founders and what this all means once we get through the teaser. The outfit Shulk is wearing looks super cool. It's an amalgamation of a lot of different elements. He's wearing his original undershirt from Xenoblade 1 with a jacket that's very much like the one the city's inhabitants wear. He's also wearing a cape, which is a definite nod to Dunban, and finally, a sort of upgraded power frame, just like the ones he invented in Future Connected and the ones we see all throughout Keves in the base game. I'll also point out that it looks like he has fangs now. Next we see a shot of Giga Chad Rex in a brand new outfit dual-wielding Pyra and Mithra's swords. Is what I would say if they weren't replicas. If we look at Mithra's sword and this one side by side, we can see some slight differences. Most notably is the lack of a core crystal, which begs the question, where are Pyra and Mithra? Wouldn't Rex be using their swords if they were still around? It's also possible that after the events of Xenoblade 2, the designs of their swords changed, but I'm not sure. I am pretty comfortable with saying that these are replicas though. We can see Rex still has the anchor shot winch on his left arm, but without the hook inside. With his new deep voice, Rex says, "Nothing's gonna get through to him, he's a heartless machine," referencing the fact that Alvis was once a part of the Trinity processor, and much like Malos, he may just be following an uncontrollable instinct. I also think it's possible that he's somehow being influenced by some external force as well. I'll also say that based on this shot, it kind of looks like Shulk and Rex are standing on junks. Just like with Shulk, it's pretty evident that Rex is the House Cassini mentor. This also means that at some point, Rex will be losing an eye and will likely be wearing an eye patch, just like Zeke. Finally, if we look at the photo of Rex and friends from the end of Xenoblade 3, it seems like he's a fair bit younger there than in this story, which means that his children are definitely going to be older as well. This next shot shows a wider view of the energy emanating from Alvis, and many have been quick to point out that this looks exactly like the rift from Future Connected. Whether or not Alvis caused it, or is utilizing it, has yet to be seen. The camera pans up to Alvis's face, and we can see his core is actually glowing a bit in the center. I'm gonna come right out and say it. I think that it is entirely possible that Alvis is Mobius A. This is all just too convenient for me. The fact that we do not have a Console A yet, and that Alvis is in a sort of antagonistic role just convinces me. If this is the case, maybe when Shulk said that every person in the world should be able to choose their future, Alvis took that a bit too literally and is trying to prevent Origin from working. In the Xeno series, there's no such thing as a coincidence. A question I have though is, where is Alvis getting all of this power? Does he still have some sort of connection to the conduit? Next, a landscape fades in, and there is a lot to point out here. On the left, we can see some sort of settlement. This could potentially be Colony 9, or even the original city. There's just not a good enough view for me to say for sure. Above, we can see what looks to be the possible remains of a Titan. I've seen some people say more Ardain, but I also think that this piece here could be from the Bionis. These could also be random rock formations that we're looking a little too deep into. On the right is a snowy area, which is kinda weird considering its seemingly similar altitude to the formation in the center. It really could be anything, from Valak to Tantal, or even Capricorn Peak, depending on when exactly this is taking place. The center formation is extremely interesting. As we zoom in, we move through a hole in the rocks, which to me looks like a face of some kind. Here are the eyes, and down here are the mouth and teeth. It's possible that I'm reading into this a little too much, but if it is indeed a face, then it makes the rest of what I'm about to say much more complicated. The area pictured here looks like a greatly remixed version of Bionis Leg, with the mushroom-shaped platforms and Ragwell Bridge, along with the general shape of the valley. There are some major differences though, like the amount of platforms, the lake being smaller, and the addition of some new structures. We'll get to what I think could be happening here later. The final shot shows who is most certainly the founder of House Vandam. He says, like killing Granddad wasn't enough for you, which is certainly just part of a much longer sentence. While I'm sure many of you are quick to point out that this guy looks a bit like Noah and Fei Fong Wong, the protagonist of Xenogears, I want to make it abundantly clear that he is likely not Noah. Why do I say this? Well, Vandam here has an iris in his left eye, which is the eye that the Agnians have their iris in. He does, however, have what looks to be Noah's gauntlet on his arm, which makes sense considering that we know that House Vandam typically fights with hand-to-hand combat. At the very end of the teaser, we can see a figure coming out from behind this guy, and it looks like a weird mix of Noah and Mio's Ouroboros, and he seems to be summoning this Ouroboros. So who is this guy? Well, now it's time to talk about the founders. So this is going to be the most important part of the video in my opinion, because we're going to deduce the identity of each one of the founders to the best of my ability. What this will let us do is potentially list out each of the party members in this expansion. The only information that we get on the founders is located in the city's memorial hall on plaques below statues representing them. So we're going to lay out everything we know and try to make some educated guesses from there. It's important to mention that the founders are specifically the founders of the current city. The original city in Cadencia has already been destroyed or will probably be destroyed in the expansion. I'm going to start out with House Ortiz. The plaque reads, "In memory of the founder of House Ortiz and the city's liberator." A Kevesi soldier, this founder was released from the Flame Clock system by the other founders, and henceforth spent every last ounce of his energy for the cause to liberate the city as one of the first Ouroboros. With surpassing skill in mechanical engineering, the founder fought not with a blade, but with a weapon of his own fabrication. He was also responsible for laying the foundations of all the mechanical systems supporting the city to this day. Following the fight against Mobius, he poured the remainder of his days into rebuilding the city before finally perishing at the age of 80 years, though how he attained that feat despite his origins as a Kevesi soldier remains unexplained. So right off the bat, we know that this character is a male Kevesi engineer. His design is extremely reminiscent of Shulk, but as we already established, Shulk is the master of House Reed. I think that there are two reasonable candidates for this founder. One is that this is Shulk's child, maybe with Fiora. His child died and was entered into the Flame Clock system. This child could very well be Chris, like we've been speculating, but Chris has never stood out to me as an engineer. He does pilot the Keva's Throne Levnis, so I would be willing to believe that he could have helped build those. However, this founder was released from the Flame Clock system, so if it is Chris, then some weird shenanigans are going on here. The second candidate is actually Shulk himself. Shulk could have died and entered the Flame Clock system, and was then freed by his old friends, since they would be able to easily recognize him. I know this is a bit of a stretch, but I do think it's possible. Next up is House Reed, in memory of the founder of House Reed and the city's liberatrix. Rather than the founder herself, this statue depicts the founder's mentor figure, standing as a sign of the deep reverence and devotion she felt for her teacher. The founder's master was unconnected to her by bonds of blood, yet he raised her as would befit a child of one's own, it is said. Though of calm and constant disposition, the sight of him on the battlefield, great red sword in hand, struck fear into many a Mobius. And though the vicious struggle against Mobius cost this ferocious warrior his right arm, the loss did nothing to diminish his desire to hone his martial skills each day, standing as a vivid testament to his indomitable will. There is little to no debate that Shulk is the master of the Reed founder. This means that Shulk's adoptive daughter is this founder. I already explained that it's possible that Ortiz is Shulk's dead son, so maybe after that happened, he ended up taking on a surrogate father role for this girl. I unfortunately don't have any specific characters in mind for who this could be. It could be a wholly original character, which is likely. If my theory on Shulk's son being dead is true, I think that it's possible that he could adopt a potential child of Melia, but I think that's just the Melia simp in me talking. Next, I'll actually speak about both House Doyle and House Vandam, in memory of the founder of House Doyle and the city's liberatrix. Directly descended from those who established the first original city. Her whereabouts were lost after N's ravaging of the city of old, but upon encountering the other founders, she committed herself fully to the fight. This founder is said to have a familial relation to the founder of Vandam, with scant extant records suggesting that they were likely brother and sister. She fought alongside the founder of Vandam then, who was eldest of the two, and brought the power of Ouroboros to completion. Said to have been bright and wise, this founder laid the cornerstones for much of the city's governance and legal systems. In memory of the founder of House Vandam, the city's restorer and liberator. The original incarnation of the city was once laid to ruin by Mobius N's hand. The founder realized fully the power of Ouroboros, heretofore limited, and fought against N, ousting him. Once victorious, he gathered the old city's people, scattered to the winds, and re-established the city. With the city restored, he left its government in the hands of Founder Doyle and departed on a lonely expedition. No records exist of his fate thereafter. Heirs of Vandam's lineage only returned to the new city several centuries later. Oral tradition has it that the founder was a master of the classical art of fist fighting, and the scions of House Vandam carry on the custom to this very day. So, Vandam and Doyle are both brother and sister. That much is clear. What is also clear is that the both of them are strikingly similar to Noah and Mio. But since N and M recently ascended to Mobius status, and the fact that I would like to avoid a weird incestual relationship thing, I'm going to say that they are different characters. In fact, I think that they're actually N and M's grandchildren. M gave birth to a single son before her and N died, and it's possible that this child went on to have his own family, resulting in Vandam and Doyle. What makes this more intriguing is that the two of them are said to have been descended from the founders of the original city, which N and M both came from. And like we pointed out earlier in the video, Vandam's Ouroboros thingy seems to look a lot like both Mio's and Noah's. Maybe Doyle's looks like a different mix of the two, and maybe the way that these characters use Ouroboros is different to how we see in the base game. After all, Torna recontextualized how Drivers and Blades fight together with that party's fighting style. Next up is Cassini, in memory of the founder of House Cassini and the city's liberatrix. Much like with the founder of Reed, this statue too depicts this founder's respected mentor rather than the founder herself. The mentor boasted a robust physique, wielding two great swords at once with utmost ease and facing down Mobius despite the loss of one eye. He lived his life in unsophisticated sort, broad-minded but impassioned, and is said to have aided the founders in the fight against Mobius, physically and spiritually. He was further reported to have been a free spirit whose qualities influenced the founders, still young and impressionable when the city was restored. Indelible proof of this rebellious spirit can be seen time and again in the ethos of the house in generations to come. This is going to be short and sweet. We know that Rex is the House Cassini master, but since he is such a Giga-Chad, he has taken over the entire Cassini plaque. The only thing we know about this character is that they're female and that she respected Rex. Since the other plaques have made a point in establishing blood relation, I would say that Rex is not related to this girl. I think that it's fair to say that this is probably a completely original character, but if you have any guesses, feel free to make them known. Finally, we have House Rhodes. A soldier of Agnes, this founder's fight to the death against the founder Ortiz, a soldier of Kevez, was interrupted by a chance meeting with the other founders. Freed from the bondage of her flame clock, she joined the fight against Mobius. Although a soldier, the founder is reported to have been exceedingly gentle and kind at heart. Additionally, her skill in the healing arts greatly contributed to the development of medical science in the city in later ages. And irrespective of starting life as an Agnian soldier, she is said to have surpassed 80 years of age, though the way she achieved that remains shrouded in mystery. As established, Rhodes is a female Agnian, but she's also a blade, as you can see on the statue. Similar to how the party met in the base game, she and Ortiz were fighting and were subsequently convinced to join the fight against Mobius. Now, my main guess for this character is actually pretty out there, so I don't know how you all take it, but I think that this founder is Mithra and Rex's daughter. All the more reason for Shulk, Rex, and the other founders to take note of their fight. Just picture it. Shulk's son and Rex's daughter, previously thought to be dead, are fighting. I think that's as good a reason as any for the rest of the party to get involved. Now, why do I say that this is Mithra's daughter? Well, that's because I am of the opinion that Kamaravi is Pyra's son. And since we're all pretty much in agreement that Mio is Nia's daughter, that leaves Mithra's child unaccounted for. I highly doubt they would go ahead and show this image if they weren't going to do anything with it. This is Monolith we're talking about. Now, if this is not Mithra's daughter, like my crazy brain is saying, I have heard a lot of people claim that this could be Miyabi, and I'm certainly willing to believe that as well since they're both Agni and Blade healers, and the statue seems to be wearing an off-CR uniform. But just like with Chris, there would be some weird shenanigans going on if she was re-entered into the Flame Clock system after being released from it. Now, we've made it through the final house, but there's actually one more founder to talk about. The secret 7th founder, described by the plaque under the Ouroboros stone. The object on display upon this plinth is the very first original Ouroboros stone's cage. It is important to note that initial designs for the monument are said to have included a statue of the 7th founder in its place. Next to no information remains about the 7th founder's identity, and it's possible that this is not due to a simple loss of records. Rather, historians speculate that this is the result of a conscious decision by the 7th founder. The general consensus is that the 7th founder is either Riku, based on his look with Melia and his ownership of Lucky 7, or that it's Nia, since she created the Ouroboros stones. There's also the fact that in the base game, her existence and location of sleep is supposed to be a secret, just like the 7th founder. There's also the other option that it's a number of characters that fill the 7th party slot throughout the game, like the heroes, but I'm not too sure about that one. I am personally leaning a lot more towards the founder being Riku, since I don't have much of an explanation as to why he would give that nod to Melia. So, to recap, I think that our main characters in the Xenoblade 3 expansion are Shulk, Rex, Shulk's son, Mithra's daughter, M's granddaughter, N's grandson, Shulk's adoptive daughter, possibly Melia's daughter, some random girl from Allrest, and Riku. Obviously, I did have a couple alternate theories like you saw, but I'm comfortable with this final lineup. I think it takes equal parts from all 3 games in the trilogy, 3 characters representing each game. I think it's possible that a lot of our assumptions are wrong since it's been so long since the events described in the plaques happen. A lot of information could be distorted or just lost to history. I'm going to throw out one last big theory that could potentially make me look like an idiot, or get everyone thinking differently. I think that it's possible that this game is not a prequel, and that it isn't a sequel, but a presquel, a sequel, a pre-sequel. This game could potentially be taking place both before the events of Xenoblade 3, before Origin was activated, and then take place after Zed was stopped and the Endless Now was erased. This location in the trailer just doesn't look like anything in Ionios, and maybe that's because the world has yet to be scarred by endless fighting, but it's also possible that this just isn't Ionios, that it's something completely different. This could make many of the things I've spent all this time talking about null and void, but that's how this stuff works. We can't get everything right. What do you think I got right, though? What do you think I got very, very wrong? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, be sure to let me know and subscribe for more Xenoblade 3 content and just Xeno content in general. If I got this video out in time, then you should be able to see my stream tonight where I play the Wave 3 DLC. Special thanks to all of my channel members, and super special thanks to Play and Polygloom, who are legendary Blade members. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!